Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 54 of the Sellik the Thunder podcast. It's a pleasure to be joined with the two gentlemen beside me, but before I introduce them, it's time. Any number 54s that you can think of in Celtic's history?
I was literally about to Google it before we started.
You dirty cheating bastard. So nobody got any guesses? I'll do what I done last week and I'll give you some clues as to who they could be. One is currently out on loan to a fellow Premiership side.
Henderson?
No, not Henderson. Close. He was one of the 50s. I think he was 52, 54 on loan. A lot of criticism. Adam Montgomery. There you go. Who else has been a number 54? Jamie Lindsay, a name that you might remember.
Household name.
Household name. And finally, one for the old school, Ryan Conroy. 2006-7.
I always remember him in the back of programmes, but don't really
didn't even know he made a programme. So there you go, there's your 54s. Well done to anybody in the comments who gets that right. But as I said, the two gentlemen beside me, I'll start with the one over on the far left. Kieran Auld, you're on quite a wee run just now for shows. How are you feeling?
Run down, mate. That's hard work.
The hair thinning.
Why?
Between results and the podcast.
Why? Got a lot on my plate.
Got a lot on your plate. We'll get it all. We'll make sure to get it shown. And beside me, for the first time in a few episodes, it's Mr. Ryan McGinley. Ryan, how are you doing?
Thanks for having me back, first of all. I'm
feeling back. I was thinking about it. I was like, it's been alright without him, maybe fair.
Wow, okay. Well, this is going to be a very short episode. I'll just walk out. Bit like Piers Morgan. No, I'm happy to be back. Happy to be talking about Celtic. It's a shame we're still playing a bit of shite, but
well, we'll come on to the performances. I think last night's, we've got a bit to talk about in there. But did you manage to catch any of the last couple of episodes? We had a couple of digs at you.
Didn't watch a single minute either.
Oh wow!
Sorry, mate.
Wow!
I was devastated. I wasn't on them, so I couldn't.
Really, right? Well, you missed two digs. The first.
There you go. Yeah, so absolutely vindicated.
The first one was Callum Craig.
Just the booster seat.
The booster seat. That was right at the start, and then I called you Warwick Davis in the last one.
He gets a lot of roles, I'll have you know. and he's a great television host as well. Tenable is one of the
great. You think he's a great host?
I think he's a great host. Not just for his size, in terms of as a person.
Where would you rank him in terms of television host, Kieran? Would you say he's great? I think he's a bit mid.
I don't know, he's suited to the daytime telly. There's a reason.
He's not big time yet. If you pardon the pun.
Fuck.
What a start we're on to in this episode. I tell you that for nothing. Right, it's time to get into talking about Celtic, as of course the podcast is maybe all about that. Thank you to G4 Claims as well, who once again have brought us into the studio. You'll notice a wee bit of decoration as well if you're moaning about fingerprints and get yourself to fuck. And also you might notice the background's a little different. We've been moved. It's a little bit weird, isn't it?
Aye.
We shall not be moved, but we have been moved.
We're looking at that pint machine dead in the eyes. It's quite intimidating.
It's making the eyes at me.
Making you sweat.
Just as well I've unplugged it. Right, Celtic then. Let's kick off with talking a little bit about the performances as of late. And I would jump away straight into that game last night as we record. This will be out on Friday, so it's a little bit out of date now, but I think in general the performances are probably up a bit for discussion. Kieran, we were obviously there together last night as usual watching the game. A tale of two halves, you would maybe say?
I think it's a bit cliched, but it actually was, because the first half was just a pure slog, and even though we were trying to make stuff happen, it just wasn't coming off. But I don't know, I wasn't as fearful as some might have been that we weren't going to get a goal. I felt like a goal was coming, but obviously the second half was improved that, got the two. But I feel like we managed the game pretty well. We were in control of it. There wasn't any really, there's a couple of moments where they got a cross or two into the box, but nothing really came of it. So I don't know, it was pretty comfortable, but obviously the first half was making you sweat a wee bit.
Yeah, McGinley, when you walked through the door, I asked you straight away, how did you think of the game last night? You seemed a little bit reluctant, unlike your usual self. You were a little bit. It's still stuff to be desired.
Yeah, I'm not really enjoying watching us at the moment.
Really?
No,
I say really as if I don't really agree with you when I do. But continue.
It's a bit of a chore watching us because we've been so spoiled earlier on in the season, and even a couple of weeks ago, some of the performances were absolutely phenomenal. You look back at the Rangers game, the Motherwell game. you can see what we're capable of, but we're not hitting those heights, and it's really, really annoying to watch us like that, especially in the first half. I will say we did improve in the second half when we get the 2 goals that we deserved, but the first half was a complete slog, and it felt like a continuation of Easter Road.
Yeah, it's hard. Kieran, of course, you've been on the last few shows, so we've spoken depth about it a number of times, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly what is kind of going wrong in that aspect. And don't get me wrong, all I'm bothered about right now is winning, and we're winning games. That's what matters. But the performances, they can be criticised, they can be questioned at times. They haven't quite been there. What is going wrong? Do you think that it's just a kind of hint of tiredness there, or anything?
I feel like there's just a lack of energy, especially in the middle, because we were alright against St Mirren, but there's certain points in other games where the midfield's been overrun, just where not even be technically better players than it. It's literally just they're more up for it, and they've got more to give. So I think it just boils down to the pure basics of it. I don't know if maybe introducing somebody else into the midfield, I'm not saying he should start or nothing, but if you go to Ideguchi, say somebody like that was to come in and give a bit of energy to the midfield, because it just looks a bit tiresome. Obviously we'll come on to Hitati, but he looks like he's running on fumes now.
Yeah, and it's weird because, correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't start the game before, did he? Did he start again?
Easter Road?
Did he? Did he? Oh, did he? I couldn't remember. It was a Bodo game I'm thinking about. He didn't play. It feels like it is kind of catching up with some players, and at this point in the season, it's a tad worrying, especially when we're now into the nitty gritty. Now, with 9 games remaining, pretty much defining as to who's going to win this title. I guess the only other advantage is Rangers haven't looked great either. So we're kind of lucky in a sense as well, I suppose.
Yeah, it's been good timing. They've been shit as well as we've been quite shit, but we're getting. I know we both drew at the weekend, but we both won. I've completely contradicted myself there, but our results as of late have been better. I mean, you even look at the 2 results. A draw at Easter Road's a lot better than a draw at home against
after being 2-0 up as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't believe that Motherwell came back from that, but stranger things have happened, I guess. But aye, it's we can definitely get better. That's the thing I would say. We can definitely get better.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I guess this is the point to raise now. A lot of people said that the St Mirren game had to be the game we kind of put out a statement before we go and play Livingston. Is that, with Livingston picking up form, they're 4th on the table now, which is just unbelievable.
It's crazy.
They've just spotted, as Aidan said on Twitter, he's just spawned there. They've just came out of nowhere and just spawned 4th on the table. Kieran, right now, how do you feel, not just with that game, but I guess that's the kind of focal point, so it makes sense to talk about it in that sense, but does it worry you right now when you look at teams doing well and us kind of slowing down? Do you think that opens up the opportunity for more teams to take advantage of us or such?
I think it would be naive to say it wouldn't. I mean, it's just Celtic need to start showing up in these games. I mean, obviously we got the result last night, but it's just, I feel like we said a lot. I was on board. I was by the people saying when the game against St Mirren had to be the one where we put in a really good performance, and it just never really happened. Second half's a lot better, obviously, but it's not the statement that we wanted to make going into. I've been behanged for saying it's a nightmare tie on Sunday against Livy, because that is it. I mean, the last, how many times we played them there? 5 times since they came up.
5 or 6.
I think this might be the 6th, and we've never won there. We've no won there in the league since 2006. I think it was 2007 the last time we beat them in the Scottish Cup or something as well. But obviously we were at the league for many years, but it's just terrifying that we struggle so much on that pitch, and you just need to hope that we've got some form of game plan that we never had the past few times. But that's what Brendan Rodgers, Neil Lennon and now Ange currently gone there without a win. So if we're going to start winning at Livy, it's now or never.
Aye, and we'll come on to that. We're going to preview the Livy game in depth a little bit later on in the show. I guess, we sound overly negative, of course, when there's so much to be positive about. We're still top of the table with 3 points. We're still winning games. Ultimately, we're still in a very good position right now. I think a better position than what many people would have expected come, March 3rd as we sit right now. I think we were all still expecting to maybe be behind Rangers. Even as early as 3-4 months ago, I think a lot of us would expect it to still be behind Rangers. There is still positives there, Ryan. Last night, people raving about the performances of certain individuals in the park. Anybody in particular standing out for you in the game?
You just know who I'm going to say.
Wednesday, yeah, I do know who you're going to say.
My man, Carl Starfelt, man of the match for me.
No big Vickers?
Carl Vickers wasn't as good as Starfelt.
So I've seen this right.
Carl Vickers scored last night. Which will probably, if a centre half scores more often than not, he will get man of the match award. But Starfelt's passing was phenomenal last night.
I seen a point on Twitter the other day that was kind of well raised in a sense. I agree. I think both of the centre halves had a great game last night. I thought they looked comfortable, they looked great. But somebody raised a really good point that I didn't really consider at the time of the game, and it was to do with like, well, they're playing St Mirren and St Mirren made nothing. Do you expect them to be bad in a sense?
Though. That's what made his performance so good, because I thought his passing was brilliant as well. I thought he was coming out from the back really nicely, playing loads of nice passes. I thought Carter Vickers actually had a couple of slack passes, or passes that maybe the St Mirren players could have got onto, but Starfelt looked really composed, and I think that's the second game running I thought he's looked composed, because I thought he was alright against Hibs at Easter Road. I mean, that mistake, the clip that Hibs put out saying about the pressing and that was Joe Hart's fault. That wasn't Starfelt's fault.
As the biggest Joe Hart fan in Britain right now, I would also agree that.
I don't know how they've made that out to be Starfelt's fault. He shouldn't even get in the bottom at that point. If Joe Hart's went down to the corner, you automatically think he's got to launch it up the park.
If he's on the video, then it'll be Starfelt's fault. That seems to be the way it is for him.
It does. It seems like there still is a section of the support who. I don't want to put words in folks' mouths and say they want him to fail, but I think they're still very hesitant to come out and say that he's good in a sense.
They've made their bed and they're sleeping in it. They've made up that opinion and they're not moving away from it, honestly. Like, you can criticise him. I've criticised him this season as well. I mean, look, some of the tweets I put out after the Alkmaar game were ridiculous, looking back on it, but I'm just giving him praise because he deserves the praise just now. I think he's really playing well in this team.
What about you, Kieran? Any standouts from the game?
I didn't think it was a game that was full of amazing performers, to be honest. I mean, the second half, a few people stepped up. The main point, instead of picking somebody that's done well, I mean, like, no way to pick out somebody that's done wrong, but see on Twitter some of the opinions I've seen flying about criticising certain players, that if you were to pick MD on that park, I was so surprised to see certain people like Juranovic getting...
I thought Juranovic had a great game.
I thought apart from that cross where he should have played it on my head, but I feel like people seen that and just automatically made their assumption of the game after that one thing.
Yep.
But because I didn't think he was a pure standout performer, but I didn't think he deserved to get individually like called out by name for being terrible.
I seen an interesting stat about Juranovic after the game, and it was that he had more touches in the opposition box than Maida, Jota and O'Reilly, which is pretty sensational for a right back. Now, you can always pinpoint that down and go, some people will look at that cynically and go, oh, well, he's a right back, he should be up there, that's a mistake in his game. But I think there's been so often through times this season where he's been perhaps one of the main, if not the main focal point of our attack. I think that he's offered that in certain games and certain situations. He's done a lot moving up the park. He's more often than not someone there to cross in a ball. He's always seems to be up in that final third. And that statistic yesterday kind of blew me away, because at the time you don't really notice it, and then you look back and you go, well, he was in there an awful lot, to be quite honest. And he does so much. I feel like the criticism, as you said, I seen a couple of people criticising him yesterday. I was like, I don't think he'd done anything to merit heavy criticism.
Do you think that criticism is because a lot of fans want Ralston in the team and they're looking for a sort of way to get Juranovic out the team so that Ralston comes back in?
It's difficult, because
I have seen people with the opinion of Juranovic try to say that Ralston should be starting ahead of him.
Because I know there's a healthy amount of people in my comments section every week who are like, get Ralston in the park, Juranovic on the left, or just...
I feel that's the most popular opinion, to get Juranovic on the left and then play Ralston on the right.
I still think you lose so much when he's on the left. I think he's been much better when he plays on the right.
It's been a while since we've seen him on the left, hasn't it?
Played in the left. No, it was quite recently. He played in the left.
Dundee? Was it Dundee?
Dundee, I think it was Dundee. And it just isn't the same. I think on the right hand side he just looks like the more full player than the player we know he is.
His impact stagnated, I would say, when he's playing at left back. He's not as good at all. And I do agree that Ralston suits some games more playing, because you need that oomph in the team that he gives you. I would even play him on Sunday.
I was going to say, do you reckon you'd see Ralston on Sunday?
If Giacomakis is playing, I'd play Ralston.
I think so, yeah.
If is Ralston still leading the assists for us, or is it somebody else that we've overtaken now? But he's still quite high in the assists, you know.
I think he's still up there. I don't know if he's still quite top. I'd have to go and check that list before I gave an eye. I know I don't want to get that wrong, but could be. We'll move on to the one thing I want to talk about is after the game, Postecoglou, Kenny McIntyre 1v1, and this is like, I was going to ask the question, what do Celtic need to do if we aren't happy with the performances, and if we do think there is cause for concern in certain situations? If I'm being perfectly honest, my opinion was last night was good enough. I think if you're winning games 2-0 at Celtic Park, you're keeping clean sheets, then fair enough. You've done the job, as Ange said to Kenny McIntyre. That I pretty much agree with the manager on that. But Kenny McIntyre did pose the point that it wasn't an easy watch, I think he said, and he was quickly shut down. It was quite funny to watch, wasn't it? But
he's so sharp, Ange, as well. Anything that a journalist will come out and say, if they say one thing that he can maybe latch on to, he'll do it. I love it because the journalists are now watching out for what they say. I like this sort of guy. He keeps them on their toes, and he punishes them when they're not up to scratch with their questions.
It was quite a stupid thing to ask, guy. You know, these journalists, there's always that one guy for Go Radio, I think it is, every single week without fail, who Ange is just like,
you know it's him as well, because his face just drops basically. He's like, oh fucking hell.
Kieran, what the manager said yesterday, though, you know, it was, I think the comments were along the line, or maybe it didn't go the way you wanted it to. But before that, he talks about, you know, well, we controlled the game. They didn't make any chances. Do you agree with what Ange is saying? This is what the thing is. I think for all the complaints and all the things, the performances might not be up to scratch. If we're winning in that sense, and the manager's happy, then I suppose we are going in the right direction.
See, that's the thing. But as much as we think we're all in the same boat in that, like, the manager's always going to look at it very different for the way fans will look at it, because fans have got such lofty expectations. But in Ange's eyes, every box was ticked, sort of thing. Like, the things he wants to see for a game, to the supporter, it might not have been the prettiest to watch or what we wanted, because as we said, we wanted it to be a statement last night, and it wasn't quite that. But I mean, for him, with the philosophy he's bringing to the club, that he's wanting performances like that. And I think what we spoke about in the past is it's important to try and grind out results, not when you need to. I wouldn't say last night was grinding out a result. I thought we were comfortable in that game, we controlled it. But in previous games, away from home especially, like, we just need to get the result. But there does come a point where, like, obviously we're in the business end of the season, results, it's what it really matters now, but you don't want to be having a heart attack every game watching Celtic. I mean, it's basically every game now, and I don't think it matters how we play, but I think it just makes it that bit tougher for on the old heartstrings watching the games, man.
And you know, one thing that we always talk about, Kieran, between ourselves, especially obviously because we sit together and such, is obviously the knee-jerk reactions and stuff, and reactionary supports and that, and, like, you know, getting used to this. You can tell there's a lot of people who just haven't really felt a title race before, sort of thing. It becomes, I think, because it is so anxiety filled at the moment, it does become hard to maybe sit down and watch a typical 2-0, because these performances are standard of Celtic. We've seen them for years.
At Celtic Park last night, but it's just any misplaced pass and it's the end of the world. Everybody obviously gets frustrated, but like, that's what I don't like when you're in a game like this where we might not be playing particularly well and you're chasing a goal and there's so much at stake. It just, the tension, you can feel it in the air, it just builds up. I mean that's just part of the Celtic games, isn't it? But it's just, especially now that we're in a proper title race, it's like, it's just so weird. Because we could be playing alright, but if the goal's not coming, like, the pressure just gets lumped on tenfold.
Aye, it makes it a wee bit harder to watch, doesn't it? Any other thoughts about the recent performances such as you want to throw out before we maybe move on to the next segment of the show?
I'm going to end on a positive.
Okay.
2 clean sheets in the league in a row. It's good that we're not conceding as many goals as we were before. When you think about the Dundee game, the Aberdeen game, we conceded 4 goals in those 2 games, so it's good to get 2 clean sheets. Back to what we were doing really well after the break, not really conceding as many goals, so I'm happy with that. It's good that we've got a functioning defence. Defence wins you championships.
Yep. So sometimes defence is the best offence, as they say sometimes. Right, okay. We've basically covered Wednesday night. We've basically covered everything that we need to about our recent sort of performances. I know that it's a couple of days on and such, we do apologise. Hopefully back to Sunday shows or such soon with the... What's that?
I just like a Sunday, just chilling, man.
Covering.
Well, even, you know, Saturday nights, or now we'll be out this Saturday night. We'll see when we're out. But Ryan, you've missed an awful lot since you've been away. I know I've been knocked out of Europe.
What was the last one you were on?
It's a Derby, wasn't it?
Was it that? I feel like you were on
the Derby, was it?
Was it me?
I feel like you were on one after that, no?
I'd need to look back, but it's been a while.
Episode 50 was the Derby, like, previewing that.
I would have been on 51, I think.
I feel like you were on 51 because I think I missed
3.
it.
I've missed 2. I know I've missed
I think I missed 51.
Aye.
Me and Calman took for one of them.
Aye, I think so. Right, okay, let's get on to the next segment. But before we do, it's time for our newest little bit of fun on the podcast. You know, we like to keep things fun, and we debuted this in the last episode. Ryan, you probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about, do you?
I was actually wondering what you were on about 2 minutes before we started.
And we were talking about it. So you don't have a clue, right? So Kieran, friend of the show.
I looked at Kieran there. I'm like, yes, our friend, he's on it.
Kieran, a friend of the show. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, Kieran, for a good wee drink up the brig. So he messaged me last week, basically, and he gave me this little game, and you've seen them all before. You know how sometimes you get like your Match of the Day magazines, and it's like, guess the player by their career path, and it'll give you their club. So it'll be like, Everton to Manchester United, back to Everton, who is it, Wayne Rooney? You know what I mean? So it's a Celtic version. However, what Kieran does is he picks 2 players every week, just for a quick segue, and he'll give us the team that they joined Celtic from and the player that they left Celtic to go to, and the team they left Celtic to go to, and you've got to try and guess the player.
Yeah.
And McGinley, since you didn't play last week, I'll give you the opportunity. Would you like player 1 or player 2?
I'll go player 1.
Oh, you're going player 1, okay, right. So the move is Aston Villa to Celtic to Wigan Athletic.
Sean Maloney.
That was quick, wow. Kieran's face.
I spend my life on Wikipedia looking at players, so
This is your sort of
street,
segment, isn't it? And Kieran, for you, honestly, never
no, and that's what I'm going to say. Like when I heard you got the Sean Maloney one, I remember you saying before, like, you didn't. What was it? You didn't hear it.
Don't you think I've heard of this? Genuinely, unless
fucking Sean Maloney and I get mystery, man.
Right, okay. Liverpool to Celtic to Wigan Athletic. Honestly, not a fucking Scooby-Doo. I feel like this is a name McGinley will know. People are probably shouting it. How do you know this guy? I'm like,
Liverpool to Celtic to Wigan.
Yeah, that's it there. I'm going to actually look at the way I'm having to type here because of the wires.
I'm trying to think of anybody we've had that went to Wigan apart from Maloney.
Mate, honestly, so he made 6 appearances for Celtic in 2005.
Fuck off.
Can we get his nationality, please?
He is Swiss. Aye.
Nah. I'm trying. What position?
Christ almighty, get you everything. He's a defender.
I'm just trying to think back to the old Celtic like season review DVDs that I used to watch.
So quickly,
When you say Ulrich Lawson,
just before we move on, I'll give you a quick. When Rafa Benitez replaced Gerard Houllier as manager, his decision to try and versatile English defender Jamie Carragher in partnership with Sami Hyypiä spelled an end to Blank's Anfield career. So there you go. Joined in a 6-month contract in January 2005. The player is Stefan Henchos.
I've heard of him.
Never heard of him in my puff.
I could have been here until
Sunday. First leaving for the game.
I quote him as one of the worst Celtic signings and stuff like that.
He might be. He might well be. I mean, 6 appearances. That's not a great tally anyway. But there you go. That was the player, Stefan Henchos.
Mate, I apologise.
You've got a bone to pick with Kieran on Sunday now.
I know. Fucking piss take, Kieran.
Right, okay, let's get on to a year on from what was just a mess of a situation with the European Super League. It caused outrage with football fans around the world. Similarly, Celtic fans are in outrage over another sort of big football mix-up when it comes to money and competitions, as we are heading to Australia in November to take part of the Sydney Super Cup. Ange's homecoming, Ange Ball World Tour, you could say. I think that this is one that has split a lot of fans, particularly that same divide that we usually see. And I'm not brushing everybody with the same favour, because I know there's going to be young folk that don't mind and old folk that do mind and blah blah blah. However, it seems like, going off my comment section once again, it's one of those ones, the older fans are kind of like, money for the club. Younger fans, absolute fucking disgrace. And I know it's not as simple as that. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. We're nice to hear them, or tweet us at Sellik Podcast. Kieran, the Green Brigade made their voice very clear yesterday with a banner. I think it would reflect all of our voices as well on this table, in terms of, well, I don't know so much about Ryan yet, but sort of reflects how we feel about this. A mess of a situation.
I mean, it's just, I find it baffling how we can keep having these sort of PR own goals. Like, it's so weird, because things could be going good and then just there's always something that happens. But it's just, the main point it is, obviously I'm very much against the idea of playing Rangers in a friendly anywhere, but especially taking it to Australia as a PR exercise. And I wouldn't care if Celtic just went there to play like a few Australian teams and another big team or something, like. But it's up here we like to. The thing we wear as a badge of honour is that we've been untainted by, not completely untainted, but compared to other leagues, especially down south, we keep it as real football up here, real fans. We've not really been bought into the full commercialisation of football, but I feel like this is the final nail in the coffin for that sort of, we can't say that
sense of pride. It's just gone.
Because it's selling out. I mean, I understand people's point of view. The very fact that it's worth as much as a full season up here is shocking.
Embarrassing on the SPFL's part, yeah.
Like, for the TV deal to only be worth that much, and we can go to Australia and play 3 games and make that amount of money in the space of a few days. It's just embarrassing. But as I said, we like to keep it as like we've got the last real derby in Europe and that, out of the big ones. Because we keep it, it's real, it's real fans, it's this. But then when you're taking it to the other side of the world to put on an exhibition for, obviously there's a lot of Celtic fans in Australia. I'm not saying there's no, but to try and put it on for just random spectators to come and gander at the derby. There's not even going to be full teams. It'll be like reserve teams and that basically playing. It just seems like a weird thing to do. Obviously the money's there, but it's the thing as well. Last year they were quick to jump the gun and say we're not half anything, but unless a couple million quid's involved, and then they're more than happy to pander to anything.
Yeah, I think one point before I come to you, McGinley, one thing I made very clear in my video yesterday is I don't think there's anything, the Australian Celtic fans deserve a situation like this in terms of, bring Celtic over to the country. But for a derby, it just seems absolutely...
I think it just devalues it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. I think that people are quick to jump to going on the money and this, that, and the next thing, the spectacle, and it'll be a full stadium, atmosphere will be great. Watching 2 glorified B teams fight each other,
the atmosphere will not be great.
The atmosphere will probably be okay.
Half and half scarves.
Yeah, it just McGinley, let us know what you're thinking. A lot of hypocrisy involved in the whole situation.
I've got to be honest, it doesn't bother me as much as it's bothered other people.
Oh wow!
But I'm still not 100% on it, but it doesn't bother me the same amount as it's bothered other people.
What's your reason it doesn't? I was quick to jump and go. It represents all 3 years, I think. But here we go.
I know, and you would expect me to come out and say I hate this, I hate this.
You're backing up the other ones.
I'm just not that fussed in it all. I mean, if it makes money for the club, then I'm sorry. I just can't. I'm not as emotional about it as what I could have been. I don't know. The fact is,
you're going to be in the first fight.
I wish we weren't playing. If I can get a ticket.
What are you talking about? You're impressing the fight Saturday
for a laugh, right? For a fucking laugh. Listen,
it does dilute the derby. I will say that.
Does it not piss you off that we're helping the bastards out as well?
That's their
see, just for their point of view as well. Why would you agree to sign up for something that's been marketed as Angie's homecoming?
That's
the only positive for the whole.
That's the only positive for the whole. For Sellik to get that bit of a laugh, but they've signed up to be the +1 on Angie's.
It's like the Beach Boys signing up to be the support act for the Beatles.
Well, they do pay less for tribute acts. So
well, true. That point is hilarious. I think that is fucking fantastic. The fact they've signed up for what some are marketing Ange Ball World Tour. The fact that they've signed up for that is just absolutely bonkers.
I think that's maybe the reason why I'm not as angry as what I would have been. The way that the Australian media and that have marketed it, I think it's just hilarious.
It's the fact though for me, and this is why I'm pissed off about it. And again, this is where I'll come in to say why I feel emotional adverse to yourself. It's the fact that Celtic and Rangers, and I'm going to assume, and I'm going to take a pretty bold assumption, but I think a true assumption in saying they've probably went into this hand in hand. They both know exactly what's happening. It's not like, they've signed all the contracts and then went, oh, but you signed up for this as well. No,
it's on that.
You didn't expect to exactly. That's not what's happening here.
Nah. Maybe that's what Ange and Gio were doing at that breakfast.
Oh, here's theories coming out of the podcast, by the way. No, but in all seriousness, we've done this hand in hand after years of distancing ourselves from trademarked phrases and putting up tweets saying we're no half of anything. That pisses me off.
Did Celtic and Rangers no renew?
That was bad enough for Celtic. They've done that very quietly. Celtic, they tried to slip that under the radar. This doesn't slip under the radar. This is very much out in the fucking open for us all to see, and it pisses me off that once again in a time where the team are doing so well and we're all behind the manager and we're going for a league title, that they have to throw something like this to once again divide supporters and once again bring up something that we have to discredit the club for. That's what pisses me off about it. The fact that all that's happening. And the thing about the derby as well, and you're saying you might not be as emotional about it. For me, it just, for fucking years, I have been sickened at watching the likes of the English Premier League tame itself to the level it is, watching fans, you know, watching Man United fans hanging over the fucking banister like, oh, Firmino, can I have your shirt, please? Can I have your shirt? You're a fucking United fan. You know, you should be fucking shouting abuse at the cunt. Are we suddenly going to be heading towards that direction? I don't think us as fans will ever come to that point. But the two clubs are heading in a direction where money is going to fucking continuously dampen the ferociousness between these two sides. And that pisses me off. Because what happens now when you try and have an argument with an Englishman and you say, oh, these are tin pot, and they go, hold on, yous were the ones that went there to Australia for a fucking friendly. Everything is just suddenly discredited.
Just the thing in general, man, like, why would we play them in a friendly? Like, it's just beyond baffling to me how this has been signed off on. But obviously it is a changing game, money talks, but surely they knew at the time the backlash this was going to get. There's no way they looked at this and thought, no, everybody's got to be on board with exactly what we're doing right now, because anybody would be like, what was it Mark said the other day in the chat? He's like, I'm going to apply for a job on that board, man. Common sense officer, because it seems like they're lacking it severely, because they just put these things out and like, I don't know what they're expecting. Like, sure, they've got to be expecting this backlash, but they're not giving a fuck because of the money that's going to come in.
Nah, at the end of the day, it's going their pockets will benefit, and I'm sure that's...
They know people won't do it either, but like, nobody's going to renew their season ticket because...
we're playing Rangers in Australia.
Like, we can be as pissed off about it as we want, but nobody's going to take any real action against it, so they're going to get away with it.
Do you think it'll happen?
Yeah, it's far too... The contracts will be signed. This isn't like... The way I summed it up was, this isn't Super League stuff. This isn't UEFA coming in with threatening sanctions. You know, UEFA aren't going to come out and go, if you go ahead with this, you can't compete in the SPFL next season.
You'll be breaking all sorts of contracts and that as well.
It's 100%, I think, going to go ahead now. Unless Celtic, and Rangers certainly won't, unless Celtic stood up and took a financial hit by breaking contracts.
I think Celtic are not going to pull it. That's what being marketed as it. The only way it's happening is if Rangers pull it.
And I don't think they've got the money or such to do that.
I think a lot more.
You need the Sydney Super Cubs monies, yeah? I think you're all clever lads. Just to put into context, this was what can't remember his first name, Bisgrove of Rangers, he came out and said his quotes was, so it's something the board have unanimously, yes, thank you, Kieran, seen as a positive opportunity for Rangers Football Club. To put some context around this, we have spoken before on the broadcast and media values in Scotland, and the club's view on that has been well documented. Participation in this event, Sydney Super Cup, over 8 days will benefit the club to the same level as an entire season in the SPFL. Once again, already said, embarrassing on the SPFL's part for the underselling of a product. Do you think that gives a legitimate argument to the people who aren't so fussed about it because of the money aspect of it? Do you think that that's good enough?
I don't know, but obviously it gives them an actual reason to think what they're thinking, because obviously you're entitled to your own opinion on it, but Celtic are never knocking that money back. As much as we'd love to think that we would, there's no chance. But it's just annoying, because as much as the fans want to sit and say that, oh, we're still the last real football in that, like, it's real football up here in Scotland, we're not like them down south, like, they might slag us off up here, but at least we've got this. The board don't care about that. Like, they can play up to that when they want. Like, they can pick and choose when they say that, but now they're more than happy to get into, as I said earlier, the commercialisation of football and going and playing a friendly on the other side of the world to be gawked at by random spectators. Obviously, as I said, Celtic fans earlier, but I'm happy for that aspect to it, but why is it need to be Rangers? But obviously the money would not be anywhere near as high if it wasn't getting high as a Celtic Rangers tournament, but surely we don't need to be doing something like this.
McGinley, how do you think the reaction will be come the time? Do you think
I think it'll die down and it'll get bigger again? Like, you see the end of the season, then it'll start up, and then it'll be like the road to the Sydney Cup almost, that could more of a negative than anything else. It'll go to the back
of people's minds early summer and that, right? But it will, as Ryan said, probably peak again in the build up to it.
I asked you the question last night, do you think they'll sell out the 85,000 seats?
I reckon they probably could, but
probably could, aye.
In a city like Sydney, I mean, it doesn't even need to be actual football fans, it could just be people. That's what I mean, it could just be a day out to people.
Exactly.
Was it WWE that had the cricket, the sort of Ashes stadium?
Yeah.
They sold that out.
Aye.
For was it Super Showdown or something
Oh,
like that?
So obviously Liverpool played at that stadium as well, do you know?
That's right, aye.
Because it's like, aye, we definitely did.
It's the Olympic, innit? It's the Olympic Stadium.
Can I tell you?
It's the Sydney Olympic
I'd
Stadium,
be
I
far
believe.
more for it if it was like, let's say for example, it was maybe Brisbane Roar or a Sydney team in Yokohama F Marinos, if it was all of Ange's previous teams
Yeah.
playing, or even an Australian. But I can see why people are so annoyed the fact it's Rangers as well.
So
Yeah.
the fact is,
I wish I could be more annoyed, honestly, but I might,
fans
because
on
I'm
both sides are
locked in.
very against it. Like, obviously, as you've said, there's two sides to it, but I feel like, in the most part, most people are not on board with the idea. And I think people can
Do you know what?
be annoyed at that.
Do you know what's really funny that's just dawned on me right now as we speak about this? We are probably going to end the season, end that half of the season, go away and play them, and there's a real chance that could be the first game back after the World Cup. That could happen because usually we play Rangers around, the end or the start of.
Is the week starting earlier this year?
Yeah, it starts in July, I believe, this year.
Right, like mid-July then? I take it?
Aye. So there's a real chance we could be playing them, before that, right after that, since we won't be having a traditional New Year fixture.
It's like a dress rehearsal almost, isn't it?
Aye, and that's just another thing to me, and I brought this up, I kind of danced over it, but the whole fucking aspect of, B teams playing in this, it just adds to the annoyance of it all. Like, we're going to the extent.
We're still going to watch it though, aren't we?
Oh, what time will it be, won't it? I mean, my kip.
I'm still going to watch it, to be fair.
I'm not fucking waking up at 4 in the morning to
Even
watch
although
a
it's
fucking
a friendly, it's still a game against
What,
Rangers,
is
and I
Sydney
want
like,
us to win it.
Sydney's like, what, 10, 11 hours ahead, something like
Aye,
because they don't
Oh, you'll be there.
I know.
Be an ambassador for it.
Kieran's going to be at the park. That's
I'm sitting hanging out on Twitter and I'm in the stands with my blazer and the badges and that.
Wait till you get. It'll be that fucking. It's tin pot enough, right? But wait until it's like me versus fucking Sharp Div in a penalty shootout at half time or something. Like,
I really hope we never make it to that day,
Sellik
man.
YouTuber versus Rangers YouTuber. I'm at the pub. Like, hey, come on, you fuck.
See, if
Everybody's
Kylie
booing you,
performs
man.
at half time, I'm there.
What?
If Kylie performs at half time, I'm there.
Christ, aye. Men at work, maybe.
Aye.
It's very Americanized as well, isn't it? It just feels very
it's
like
weird.
the Sydney Super Cup, the
Nah,
graphics.
Is it the Super Cup?
Aye,
I thought it was just the Sydney Cup.
Nah, Sydney Super Cup. That's what it is. Don't blame me, blame the marketers. They're the ones that do it. But I mean, let us know your a very split one. I've been seeing a lot of different opinions online and in my comment section on Twitter, etc., etc.
I'm sorry I wasn't so impassioned about it.
No, mate, that's
But
the whole point in this podcast. We don't need to be
I
the
think
same.
it might just be because of when it's been announced. I might have been more annoyed a couple of months ago, but see, because it's the business end of the season.
Yeah, I was
I'm
actually
totally
going to
focusing on
Yeah, I
that.
was going to say that. Do you think maybe for yourself it's along the lines of right, we're focusing on this title
Yeah,
now? Well, that's an
I get that
afterthought.
I mean,
Aye.
Livingston away's been on my head for about 4 months now. So
Sleepless nights.
it's sleep paralysis.
And a
it's just
lovely
that.
transition into what is the next topic of the show, and that is Livingston away. Me and Kieran will be there Sunday. Ryan, you going?
I was trying to get hospitality tickets for it too, but
Hospitality tickets.
He doesn't do away ends.
Aye, fucking hell.
no, I feel unsafe in those areas.
Why would you want to get
No, I'm
hospitality
kidding.
for Livy?
It's only about
Get
80
on
quid or something.
Only? Fuck it, only? Christ, you're sitting with Jacob Rees-Mogg here, fuck's sake.
No, I'm not going. I think
Nah.
I'm having a drink the night before, so I'll be rough watching it.
Aye.
It'll be rough anyway watching it on that pitch, man. It's a nightmare.
Me, Kieran, and other Kieran will be rough come Monday morning.
Oh, aye.
But I we head to Livy away, and a horrible place to go. Kieran, I'll come to you first because there was an interesting point I seen somebody put in the group chat when I was editing my video last night, so I kind of just danced over it and never replied in the chat. But somebody made a really good point. Hopefully because we're all talking about it, this is the time where we go and we just fucking steamroll them. Like, because we're
I don't know
all.
if I was saying that to David on the way back for the game. It was like, see the way before the Rangers game, it's like nobody was really sure how to feel about it and that, and then we came flying at the chaps and absolutely hammered them in the first half. Nothing would please me more than got a couple of goals up there in the first half. I think Mark said in the chat last night to be checking his pulse because if we got to go 2-0 up at Tony Macaroni.
The Anthony Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I know I would be if we were up 2-0 there. I'd be checking the consciousness, to be quite honest.
Have I died?
I died. McGinley, it's a big ask. We've seen how we played against Bodo, and this is the whole plastic park thing come back up. I hate that old cliche, but it seems to be a thing. We're playing on that tight plastic surface. How you feeling about that?
Not good, I'll be honest. It's the only plastic park that's left. this season anyway. I'm trying to think if there'll be any next season. Potentially not. If Kelly keep on going the way they're going, they've been shite this season.
Is Arbroath a grass park?
I think Gayfield's a grass park.
I think it is. I don't know. I can't really remember. I watched Hibs play there in the cup, but I can't remember.
I'm never confident going to Tony Macaroni. We've not got the record to be confident there. We've always struggled. It just even last season, we had all the. We actually had one of the better performances with the 2 each game.
There? That's right.
The 2 each one was. Wait, did we draw 2 each last season? That was the season before when the league got called. Because it was one of the last games. It was my last game.
But we had the 2 each.
Was it the snow? The one in the snow?
Yeah, the one where Lennon made the face.
I just assumed we got beaten that game. To be honest,
absolute screamer. I remember.
That's right. David Buick was at that game.
He was in the press box.
But you're just hoping we come out and sort of buck the trend, and I'm just hoping Big Yakimakis is fit and firing for this game. He's born for this fixture. I'm just hoping he can cause havoc.
How important is he, Kieran?
I know. I'm hoping that he is the answer to it, but geez, oh man, the pressure that's been piled on him to be the saviour at LIVI is ridiculous. I mean, on paper it should work out a lot better than it has with previous people who've played up top. I mean, who started up front for us back in September when we played them? Was it a Yeti?
It might have been a Yeti that day, actually.
I think it was.
Because Kyogo didn't play, did he?
No. I feel like it might have been a Yeti and then barely even got into the game whatsoever.
Aye, because when we were saying, this is a Yeti, he turned it around the day, this is it.
Brittle, man.
Did he fuck? But it's big for Yakimakis.
We actually put in a good performance for the first 20 minutes of that game against Livingston. Then Andrew Shinney scored a screamer and we were shit the rest of the match.
I don't even remember a hang fit, man.
I was watching on a stream, I remember.
No, but Yakimakis, you're hoping he can use the physicality and such, but because we know Livingston can be a rough team. I think the most worrying thing about this game is knowing that how well Livingston have been playing as of late. They've suddenly struck a lot of form going into this, which makes it even more difficult. The fact that they're now 4th in the table, they got a great result against Dundee United last night. Suddenly, you're thinking to yourself, why the fuck do they have to save this for now?
I know.
Celtic coming to town and now they're hitting the form. It feels like, and I don't want to say it, but it feels like one of those things where the stars are aligning for yet Livingston to get another positive result against Celtic.
I hope they don't, because 2 things, because we need to keep on winning, and I don't want them anywhere near the top 6.
We're the ones playing catch up this weekend.
I was going to bring that up. That's another big thing this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, I looked ahead last week and I was like, it was so important that Rangers dropped points against Motherwell, because regardless of their result, unless they were to get it's an 11 goal swing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
if they were to win 11-0, then they would go top, but that isn't happening. So it's good that regardless of the result, we'll still be top when kick-off comes around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what else to say apart from the standard, cliche stuff about Livingston, etc, etc. It's important to try and find an early goal in this game. I feel like every single time we go here, we don't get off to a great start. I think it was one time we got a goal early on, but we didn't win the game. Was there? Maybe
I don't even know if I've seen us go.
I know, I was about to say, man, maybe talking shite.
I've only got bad experiences.
In the 2 each game where Rogic equalised in the last minute or something, I don't think we scored first in that, did we?
Because I made this point in my video last night, and it's like, against St Mirren, if we got that first goal in the first half, I think we wouldn't have been talking about, obviously we wouldn't be talking about a shite first half, but even if we scored in the 35th minute, I think even 10 minutes after that would have been in such better looking shape and all the rest. I think when we get that first goal, we look so much better. Yeah. So we need that at Livingston this week. Definitely. If we can find
what I'm hoping is that this game's came out of nowhere. It's not a surprise. They've known for ages that this coming up. Angela's seen how we played back in September there. Surely there's got to be some plan in place to try and change it up, because we've went there time and time again and came away with no more than a point. So as I said earlier, it's now or never to try and start winning there, because if we're serious about going on this title charge right to the end, we can't be getting beat on Sunday. But previous games suggest that the very fact that we're in the situation where this is so terrifying is honestly so weird, man. But
I know.
Here we are. What is this? This will be our 5th time there. If we get beat this time, I will finally hold my hands up and say that I'm the jinx.
We keep saying every time, no going fucking back. Since the second time we went, no going fucking back.
It's one of the easiest ones to get away tickets for, isn't it?
Yes, that's not a surprise, though, trying to get in amongst that. I mean, you could have got one. They were on sale to the general. I didn't know. I know the general height, but like every season ticket holder didn't. No, I didn't know. Eventually got into that. No,
it went down to like you had to have been to 4 of the past 2 seasons or something.
Right. I thought it went down to right down to anybody. Oh well, my bad.
It's very difficult to get a sort of bill of games.
Build of criteria.
Yeah, that's exactly the phrase I was looking for, mate.
Yes, no worries. I'm always here to help. Any final thoughts about Livy before we move on to the final few segments of the show?
Just win, please.
Fight and win.
Yep. That's what Jesse Marshall be saying down south.
I'm quite excited to see him at Leeds, by the way.
Yep, me too.
Quite excited.
I like him.
He's going to be super good. Super excellent, you know.
I like him.
I like him as well.
Those 2 days that we were linked with him, I was quite excited.
He was unlucky at Leipzig as well.
It'll be good to see him in the Championship.
Oh, well, that's probably going to happen. Let's be real. Right, okay, McGinley, I'll let you take the reins, son. It's time to go on to the Twitter questions. As always, thank you everybody for submitting your questions. If we don't get to it this week, then you know we've always got future episodes to try and get in amongst it. Make sure to follow us at Sellik Podcast on Twitter, and that's how you can be involved with future episodes of the show. Ryan McGinley.
Let me just get the questions up. Get 27 responses here. So Aidan says, "Hi, gorgeous men."
Oh, thank you.
First of all, meow. I love it. Second of all, is there a chance we will get a free things we learned after WrestleMania this year?
Oh, listen, right. So I know this is like just directed to me, right? But I've been thinking a lot recently about like my second channel and like when I'm going to bring it back and all the rest of it, and that's something that I'd actually maybe no free things we've learned, because you need more than that, and especially because WWE's shite now. But you know, I'm looking forward to going that second channel, maybe talking about stuff like wrestling, talking about F1, talking about football again and other leagues. I'm looking forward to it. So there's maybe, but I'm not planning to bring it back until I'm fully gone from Tesco. So
I was hoping you were going to ask his other question, because this other man came in first and it was asking about how do you rate Costco, Scram?
I knew you'd like this question. He's been waiting for this for 50 odd episodes.
Not only just the slice of pizza and all that stuff you get for the wee bit down the front, but see just food in general out there, man, it is different gravy.
Cutlands.
Like, let's see, you get the big trays, it's like a soft chicken taco thing, and it comes with this brilliant chicken, the cheese, some like wee peppers and that. They've got the wraps, fucking brilliant. And last week as well, we got the mad chicken tikka one with flatbreads and this sort of sour cream sauce and this sort of sweet. Get yourself to Costco, man.
Yeah, get killed.
Can I shock you? I've never been.
Never been?
Never been to Costco. I've been past it, because I think there's a Tesco that's right next to it.
It's done it. St. Roller.
St. Rollocks.
Springburn. Springburn. The old Springburn. That's what I call it. No, do you know what? And the big one is obviously Costco cake. That's the one everybody talks about.
Costco cake, on the other hand, the sponge is brilliant, the icing's too much.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say,
I don't mind
overrated cake, perhaps.
No, it's an overall thing, maybe a wee bit, but no an edge piece. An edge piece is when you get too much of it. Smack bang in the middle of your big football pitch cake. I'll take that.
I used to get the dinosaur.
That does not surprise me. Not in the fucking slightest.
But I just, you know, I was like 16 years old. I was like 8 years old, and I wanted a fucking dinosaur.
Big football pitch.
Big
you went for the dinosaur?
I went for the dinosaur, mate. I like the dinosaur.
As I said, not surprised.
No, Costco Scran, tremendous. Get yourself down there again. I've not been in years. I had to get back down.
So good, man.
Can maybe meet Kilo there. He's always in around.
They've got a mad quesadilla setting as well. It's fucking brilliant.
There you go. I hope that answered your question. Just do it, keep going. Oh, don't get me started on the barbecue chicken wings. Oh, brilliant.
So Aaron here asks, if Celtic could introduce any Scran to their kiosks, what would it be and why?
We actually done this one last week, didn't we?
I think so. I can't remember,
because it was last week. It was Cal who asked if you could add anything that wasn't beer. What would you add? So again, like, you want to hear? I'll give it. Here, you might want to engage that.
I'm trying to remember what I said last week.
My answer was currywurst. That's what I want. Because I just think that is.
I said they don't spicy noodles.
I see.
I'm going to say something really specific. Chicken goujons out the old Strathclyde Union. They were phenomenal.
That's what I call specific.
no, honestly,
they were nice.
They tasted like my failed journalism career the first 2 times, but I loved them to bits, man.
My soon to be failed journalism career.
You need to get your act together, mate. Come on. I was kidding.
Oh, listen now. That's a bit personal.
See at the college, man. See a rolling square and Scone, man. Like,
Nah,
the
not
square
bad.
sausage actually looks like it would be rancid, but it's very decent. Man.
Yeah. City of Glasgow College, shout out. Hello, mechanic.
Yeah, he's watching this. He's switched off for the language.
I'll stick with curry. I'll stick with currywurst though, because that would just be currywurst on top of your fries, chopped up, the sauce and that, a wee drizzle of mayo on the top of it. Oh yes.
I'm not a fan of that hand movement.
Oh yes.
I've just got to say before we continue, I feel quite guilty about saying that, and I apologise.
Oh, for God's sake.
No, I thought you took it personally.
No.
I feel pure bad now.
I don't give a fuck.
Alright.
My career is falling down the pan, and I'm
Do you
loving
want me
it.
to pass your hanky over?
Aye, please. Right, next question.
Right. Cal asks, who would you sit next to on the plane to Australia for the Ange World Cup? Ange can be included.
See, when I seen that question, I was like, I remember the mad interview that some former player done.
Ryan
Like,
McGowan.
you don't have to sit next to him on the plane because he just sits in pure silence, and you're sat there like, what have I done wrong?
That was Ryan McGowan.
I was actually going to say I wouldn't want to sit next to Ange, but for another reason, and it was completely the opposite of that, because I thought he'd be the kind of bastard like, aye, that done there's the old school I went to, aye, and then
Can't
like just
imagine him
commentating past all your
I
different.
can't imagine him speaking like that.
Well,
Unless
obviously
you're
he's not
Australian.
gonna- obviously he's not going to talk like that. He's not for fucking Mary Hill.
I don't know who I'd want to sit next to. I mean, that's a very long flight to be sat next to somebody.
Did
Certainly no Ryan anyway. He's certainly no me, man. I must be the worst person in the world to travel with, man. See, when I'm tired, I'm fucking raging at actual end,
Kieran,
man.
I've told the story a million. I've actually told you about this, I'm sure, like about travelling with Kieran, how he could just be such a door-faced bastard.
Oh, everything fucking annoys me, man.
everything.
See,
man.
on the way to Germany, man, I was fucking raging the full way, and even on the way back, man.
I just know to keep my mouth shut. I don't even bother trying to speak. I'm like, I just don't do it right.
I'm just so tired and angry, man.
I'd pick Joe Hart. Me and him, we'd get rid of the wee split earphone things, like you put it into one phone, you get the
can only
listen to the same
imagine
tunes.
the absolute dross he listens to.
Don't be disrespectful.
He's got a 2009 to 2012 hits playlist.
Oh,
Aye,
to be fair, that'd be pretty good.
aye, exactly. So
Maybe
take
that
it
Tyler
back.
Cruz Dynamite.
Aye, exactly.
Play that and repeat.
Aye, but that's my pick, Joe.
I'm gonna go for my hero, my mate, Carol Starfield,
Think that'd be good.
because
Good
he
laugh.
wouldn't be against me listening to ABBA. Or is that stereotypical?
No, I'd imagine that they love ABBA.
It's only Fitzy that doesn't like ABBA
Aye,
on
everybody
the
loves
planet,
ABBA.
I think.
Yeah.
So,
Right, next question.
do you think, Jamie
one.
asks, do you think Dembele will sign a new contract?
It's so difficult.
I think it's too up in the air now. I think we'll get a clearer indication of whether he'll want to stay. I don't think it's up to the club anymore. I think it will be down to the club will definitely offer him a contract, but he needs to see if he's got any. If Ange sits him down and says, right, you're going to be in my plans next year, then he might buy into it. But I don't think MD could maybe. I don't know. You will get people that will say, "Oh, fuck him if he doesn't want to stay." But I mean,
There's no real indication.
there's
as to
no
what he's
guarantees for him to
thinking.
get game time here. He's had the plague of having all this hype around him since he was 13 years of age. So I think it's going to be very hard to live up to expectations that people have set out from and the amount of attention he's got in his young career. That he's 8 or 9 appearances for Celtic now. With that one last night, not one start.
You wrote a good article about it there.
When he goes as far as good. But
One thing I will say, the tone when he was asked at the pre-match presser before the who were we playing?
There was a B team game on it.
Was it the B team?
Aye, was it
No, it was Ange.
Ange,
I'm sure I got asked the other day.
Ange the other day was talking about Ben Doak and Dembele, and he was a lot more positive about Dembele than he was about Doak. I think he was sort of putting out the sort of message that I'm not going to convince anyone that doesn't want to be here. He was saying that at the start of the season, I remember. But then he was kind of waxing lyrical about Dembele, saying he was going to be in my plans, and then he get that injury and stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, I could maybe be reading too much into it.
I'd
but
like to see him stay. But
Yeah,
it's
me
just this season would have been his chance, because obviously he got the year extension last year. Everybody was panicking that he was at a contract, and then we extended it for the year. And then he's had horrible luck by getting crunched in that game against, was it Bristol City in
Casey
pre-season?
Palmer.
Scumbag bastard.
Very
I've said it
strong.
before,
It's a
though. I
good
think the
referee.
two of them are pals now because they both like each other's stuff on Instagram.
Right, next question.
Let me have a wee look. I should have prepared.
Don't worry. It's always a good laugh.
I'm going to ask this. John Paul Connors asks, "What are you giving up for Lent?"
Do you know what? I've actually not decided.
You're leaving it a bit late, aren't you?
I've left it a bit late, and do you know what the worst part is? You know, you get your normal, your chocolates, your crisps. I could easily say one of them, but everything else, you know, I've had a fag, I've had a drink.
You've had a drink?
I had a wee beer last night.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, jeez, what a fag, a drink, you know. I wouldn't be getting up a drink anyway, not a chance. I don't know.
Too much coming up in Lent.
Sex. Wouldn't be hard. No, I'll give up. I'll go with chocolate, mate.
I said it in the chat the other day, right? But see, when I was younger, I used to get up pure specific things for Lent. Like, I remember one year I gave up Skips. Like, see the prawn cocktail crisps, and all I could fucking think about was Skips, man.
For 40 days.
I know. Drink I made it 40 days. I was straight to my granny's house that weekend.
I've just got this image of you going through the desert like Jesus with the temptation
And
of the devil. The devil's just got a packet of Skips.
You've got the week
can't
of
have
your
it.
But I didn't even eat them that often. I just kind of liked them. I was like, that'll be easy enough. And then I went to my granny's and I looked in the bag of crisps and I was like,
Skips for top tier Scram is a wee.
lovely crisps. What have you gave up? Are you even a Catholic?
Yes,
Aye.
I'm feeling confirmed and everything.
I forgot. I just can't remember if you were
I've
or
not
not.
been to mass since before lockdown.
I've not been to mass in about 6 years.
Well, I was going to do a pure stupid answer and say like energy drinks, but I've been off them for about 6-7 months now. So I'm going to continue to give them up because I mean I was in Iceland today and I seen a can of Monster. I was like, that would be so nice now. I'm so dedicated to water now.
I'm not really big on energy drinks. The only thing I like is the
same.
Diet Iron Brew Energy. I think that's heavy nice. I don't like the full fat one.
The Red Bull branding got to me in F1 a couple of weeks ago and I had one. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Shite, man.
But
I don't mind the wee
engulfed
body
by
Red Bull.
F1, haven't you?
What?
You've been absolutely engulfed
Mate.
by F1.
Buzzing, what a week coming up. What a couple of weeks coming up.
No, not
We've got Bahrain testing, then we've got Drive to Survive season 4 on my birthday,
Wow.
Well,
It's as if it's been
a
brought
week
out
tomorrow.
specifically for you.
and then the week after that, it's Bahrain, baby. I cannot wait. Buzzing.
Some news about that Russian GP.
Right.
I'm trying to get involved.
So Mazepin's away. He's away.
He's always away though, isn't he?
He's
Always
been replaced.
crashing
Oh,
his
he's
motor.
shite. Aye. He's been replaced. The Russian Grand Prix is away. Aye. Fittipaldi, I think, has replaced him.
I'm going to make a conscious effort to try and get into it.
Ah, you should, mate. You should.
I feel left out.
Brilliant. Right. Any more before we get to this quizzy izzy? Oh, that's a good question.
That is a great question.
Great question.
But we need to show them.
Aye. If I had the time, I'd throw it up on the screen, which I really should.
Right.
But
So Kieran, who's a friend
Yes,
of the podcast, he
yes.
obviously does that before and after. the game.
yes, Kieran had done the game.
He's saying welcome back to me. Thank you very much, mate. He says welcome back. Are you a new style or a retro Just Eat bag man? I'm going to show you the two. I don't know if you can see them. You get the,
Rank and zoom in anyway.
you get the
Zoom.
orange one, the one that I use. Or I'm struggling here actually. Wait a minute.
So have you got the new bag then?
I do. I've got the new bag, but not the new bag. But that's the old one because they used to have red.
I prefer that.
So do I, because the orange one. I mean,
Obvious.
it would look great in Lark Hall. That's all I'm going to say.
Lacks character.
Exactly, but this is an old version of the new one, if you get me, because during the Euros they had the Euros sort of branding on it as well. They had half Just Eat and half Euros. I actually need a new bag, come to think of it, because the elastic or the Velcro's kind of coming off.
Snapping into
Using it
bits.
that much.
What's that cost you?
$4.99.
They charge you.
But they're really good bags. Like I use it
Fucking
for
hell.
bringing takeaways into the house as well.
That's handy. But I thought you would just once you like signed up for them, that was
Yeah,
it. You
you've
get
got-
one for nothing.
You've got to think though, I've done 1,700 orders,
Aye.
and this is me replacing it.
I mean,
So,
that's not bad, I
It's
suppose.
not bad
aye,
at
but-
all.
Well, it's nice to know that you're a new style. So fair play.
That was like the 2021 version of the Tato's question.
That's
honestly.
right. Aye, that's right. Not me.
There's you.
Not me.
Selfies.
Aye. Is that us? Aye.
I'll do this last one. Billy's asking, how much better was the second half performance last night compared to the last few games? And also, Ryan, I'm going to need to know where you got that signed Joe Hart picture. Is it eBay?
I'm never revealing.
No,
it was
there's
eBay.
only one.
It was
You
no,
got
no.
it.
Listen, there's concerningly quite a few. Joe Hart's signed a good few, but it's like different poses. It's like he's standing differently, but he's like.
Do you not think you're going to get the full collection?
Yeah, you're gonna get a collage on the wall.
don't reveal my secrets.
He'd sit quite nicely next to Terry Crews, though. Do you not think?
Nah, he's mine. No, not living rooms.
Fair enough.
Right, we've talked about the second half, so we may as well just move on. We've already covered all that, and it is time. Hopefully the quiz music works this week. I always get the feel it doesn't, but yes, it's time for the If You Know Your History Sellik the Thunder quiz. By the way, I'm starting to pack up on the stickers. AJ Celtic, what a job. I'm going to need to buy more for you though to cover the thing up, but
AJ Celtic.
oh Christ, that's away. But I've got Boric on here now, my favourite. I found that the day, I forgot he gave me that, so I've got Boric now. I've got the Sporting wing there, Scott Brundon
That would be
here.
your favourite.
Joe's a close second, and I love the biggie one as well. I love the rapper ones, but I'm going to order more soon so I can get the proper sticker bomb effect.
I was going to cover this in stickers, but I was worried in case I was doing like any sort of
trading.
No, like even just matches. If I was going to a match, I've pulled that out and I've got
That's
bloody some of them are a wee bit sus if you were going into a specific place.
Fuck them, I don't care. Right,
Fair enough.
this week's quiz host is going to be Mr. Kieran Auld.
I forgot how to read the last time I was doing it, to be honest.
Now, I believe, I can't remember now if I updated this or not in the last episode. So the last episode was me against you, and you won, which means that you're up to 2 wins, 2 losses. Did I update that right?
Right?
So basically, me, you and Callum have all played 4. After today, I'll be on 5. McGinley will be on 3. So, McGinley, you're still 2-0, mate. Can you make it 3-0 today? That is the question.
Let's just get on with this.
Who wants to be City? I'll let McGinley pick because he's just back.
I'll go set B because I was player 1 in the other game.
Yeah, that's fine. Right, Ryan, you ready?
Yes.
Right, so question 1, City.
Right.
Rio Hatate has never featured against Livingston. True or false?
Right, that seems like a trick question. Because the obvious answer to me seems like false.
Get the
But
fucking phone down.
right, sorry, false. No, true.
No,
true.
you have to take
No,
first
I meant
answer.
true.
I
I
meant
meant true.
true.
I meant true.
How was that a trick question?
I meant true.
No played them since October.
I meant true. I meant true.
No,
but like I didn't know if it was going to come up.
Ryan misses an open goal here.
I didn't know if it was going to come up like, oh, I played them in a fucking friendly 3 year ago or something.
Livingston.
Livingston.
Aye, you never know, mate.
He's not even been playing professionally for 3 years.
I'm actually gutted. I said that I'm dick.
Right, question 1 for McGinley. Daisen Maeda has played against Pedri and Asensio during his Japan under-21 international career. True or false?
I think that's true.
And you'd be correct.
Fuck off.
1-0 to McGinley. He played in a 1-each draw with Spain under-21 in June 2021.
I'd seen that fixture. I'd actually looked up to see what goals he'd scored for under 21s.
Aye, Gisby.
So what I mean, I don't need to show my work, and I know that.
Question number 2 for Ryan over there. Having to make up for his poor start.
Wow.
Who has won more trophies in their entire career? Joe Hart, Mikey Johnson or Tommy Gravison?
Oh, wow. It's a really good question. Because Mikey Johnson must be on a fair few. When did Mikey Johnson didn't play in the Rodgers first season, did he? Because Johnson will be on. So Hearts won Premier League
That's a good
titles.
question.
And sorry, I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. 12, 14, 13. No,
What the fuck are you doing?
12, 14. I think the answer might be Mikey Johnson. I'm going to go Mikey Johnson.
Correct. Apparently it's Mikey Johnson with 10, Joe Hart with 6 and Tommy Gravison with 1.
I knew Gravison hadn't won a lot.
Right, McGinley. Joe Hart saved which Brazilian player's penalty in 2013? It's in a friendly at Wembley.
And a friendly. I'm going to guess Ronaldinho then.
David
Correct.
Luiz.
It's Ronaldinho.
Bastard.
So that's 2-1 to Ryan. Going into
You bastard,
question 3. Right, so Ryan, our opponents at the weekend are sitting how many points clear in 4th place?
Fuck.
know this.
Didn't even look at the points tally on the table. I'm going to guess 1.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hibs, isn't it?
Still, I don't
They
think
put
so.
1 and then only 5 points separate 4th and 10th, which is quite mental. We never really spoke about that. The
I
day
know.
the
That's crazy. Yeah.
Aberdeen are 10th.
I know.
How crazy is that?
couple of wins and they could be right back in it.
Yep.
That's it.
Right, so McGinley, how many players that started at our last trip to the Tony Macaroni started against St Mirren last night?
I just looked at the team 10 minutes ago.
That's a bastard that you actually loaded that up. This is why these ones as well, McGinley's going to sit here for an hour and try and fucking get in it.
Starfelt, Juranovic,
Come on, get it right, son.
Bowley was playing that game. I'm going to go 7.
5.
Yay! So back in it. Well, fucking
I thought you were
back
going to
in
get it right there with actually getting the right players. It was Hart, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Juranovic, Abada and Jota. Because Stephen Welsh played with...
I knew Welsh played, but I get the centre-halves mixed up.
Right, so...
Don't count your chickens
Ah,
just
well.
yet.
Aye, I know.
Right, so question number
Especially
4 for
after that first
Ryan.
question.
Right, go on.
Which is the last European city Celtic have left with all 3 points?
Right.
The city, mind.
Budapest.
Correct. Right, for McGinley, Celtic's famous unbeaten run lasted for how many games? Obviously, coming off the back of the Invincible season, how many games did it last for?
I know this number.
I don't even know it. I don't know it. 58.
69.
So, what's the score now?
I'm in the lead, mate. I'm in the fucking lead.
What is it? 3-2?
3-2, mate.
Aye. Right, going
We've all
into the
got to beat it,
final
one
set
at
of
some point.
questions. Right, so for Ryan, how many players that started at our last trip to the Tony Macaroni? That's can't put the
Aye.
same question in twice.
Has he?
Yes.
Oh my god. Right, do you know what to do? Oh no, he can't do that because the tiebreaker will be a numbers question.
Yeah.
Oh, how Matthew Duff, you've had a howler here, son.
I'm not misreading that. He's definitely. It's the exact same. Fuck.
Oh wow.
I don't know what to do. I'm not Cam Craig. I've not got backup questions here.
Oh, there's a panic here.
Hold on. I'm trying to think of something like. I can't think.
Please just draw.
I didn't draw. I'm winning here.
Tom Rogic against Livy.
Can you make up a question?
I don't know, mate. I'm not that fast thinking. Should see me try to play Wordle. It's something for about half an hour. most of
I've
the
not
time.
started that Wordle yet.
Oh, we play it every night.
Do you not post it on your Twitter?
No.
You're just above that?
Aye.
You know what? I'm going to just go a bit. Right, so Scott Robertson
Right.
is on loan at what team?
Matthew Duff, shame on you.
This is what you've brought me to.
I forgot what team it is that he's away
I
to.
know this one too.
Is it Gillingham?
No.
Crew.
He was on loan at Gillingham
He was.
last season.
For the first half of
Aye.
last season, then he went to Doncaster.
I'm sorry, Ryan, but I had to make up something there.
It's fine, mate. It's fine.
Right, so for McGinley to equalise here, which player has scored the fastest goal for Celtic in the SPL era?
I think I know this. Oh, who is it?
Is it Stokes?
Chris Commons.
I was going to say
Was it the
Commons
game against
St
Aber-
Johnson.
The 4-3 Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, that's what I was going to say. Adam Matthews plays a mad pinger of a pass. But I win! Banging tune.
Do you want to hear the tiebreaker?
Yes, hold on, let me bask in the glory for a moment. Right, there you go.
Right, so how many goals did Celtic concede in their biggest ever defeat against Motherwell?
8.
6.
8.
Was it 8? Sorry, McGinley. I just take great pride in winning quizzes. Just to update that is McGinley on a loss, which means right now I go top of the table with 3 wins, 2 losses, but obviously the most wins.
Top of the table.
Top of the table. Just to update that, so I know that it's there for next week. There we go. Played 3.
Still get 2 games in hand.
You've
though.
got 2 games in hand over me, and 1 game in hand over the other 2. Kieran, next week you could go level with me if you manage to beat whoever it may be, or if you're on next week's show. That is, we'll see what happens. But there you go. That is that, and that basically brings us.
Just realised after LIVI we've got an 8-day break until
Aye.
the Dundee United game.
It's a Monday night, innit?
That's a
Thanks.
bit weird.
No
What?
shed. No shed.
Oh no, Shed. That's right. I thought you meant Shed the nightclub, but I've never been. Shed away. So, aye. Wow. Good point. So, next week, what are we doing next weekend, Keelan? What's the plans?
Next weekend.
Aye, we go out on next weekend. Oh wait, is that my birthday night?
Aye.
Aye, it is shite. That's my birthday next week, boys.
Next Friday.
Aye. Well, maybe we have a Sunday show then, because hungover on the Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, is there any point in a Sunday show, but...
Preview United, maybe.
You'd need to go early on the Sunday and then get it up Sunday night.
Aye.
Let us know what you want next week.
Let us know what you're thinking in the comments. It's always a great deal of fun. But aye, that's us. End of the show. McGinley, did you enjoy your space back?
I did, apart from the defeat at the end. I could have done without that, but you know what? There's always next time, and I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
It's a long season ahead.
A long season ahead, yeah. Of course, we do this on a January to December basis, so you've got a bit of time.
That's it.
Got a bit of time. Kieran, thanks for coming, son. You enjoy yourself?
I was panicking that I was misreading that question again. I'm a horrible quiz host.
How's that?
No, it's definitely
Pressure on you, there's pressure on you, you're doing it, man.
Aye.
It's a question if I can actually read or not.
Right, that brings us to about an hour and 10 minutes. So thank you everybody for listening to today's show. As always, make sure to hit like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you've been listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to follow the show and give us a 5-star review if you enjoyed it on the review section. But from us, we'll leave it there, and we'll see you all next time.